guess what? I'm just not your cup of tea to be drinking, so don't fucking drink it.
Words cut me like razors from your teeth.
Who was the question mark?
Yeah, does anyone want to speak up?
I did.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you don't know this beat, it's a girl KylerB coming at you with a new video. So today we're going to be talking about Love Island USA Season 7, Episode 26, and let's get right into the video. First and foremost, when you come on my channel, that's your choice to come on my channel. So no one, this is not a hostage situation. No one's forcing you to watch me. You can watch other people. New fans having things to say like you need to back up on my face, okay? So just because I'm supporting the people I support and you don't, you can back up on my face and find somebody else to watch. You don't gotta watch me. So it's not a hostage situation. You're not a tree you can move, okay? So let that be a PSA to everybody who watching my channel. Coming into this episode, you know, Hood and Chris kiss, whatever. Moving on, Nick and Sierra are happy that they're coupled up, you know, closed off, whatever. You know, they're glad. They're, you know, reminiscing about the date, everything, you know, Zach and Amaya, you know, haven't talked all day. Shelly and Ace haven't talked all day. Shelly and Hood haven't talked all day. What else happened? Nick pulled Huda, basically, was just trying to figure out like what happened between, you know, her and Shelly. She took accountability for what happened, that she did do too much. Like, she agreed that she did do too much in the challenge. You know, she's giving Shelly space because, you know, they haven't spoken, so da-da-da-da. Pepe, he's talking about like he hasn't had really a spark with Grayson, so it's just kind of like, you friend-zoned Andrina, but now there's no spark of Grayson. Also, Brian, he's talking to Jaden, so it's kind of like Austin losing his girl too. Austin, you had way too many chances in this villa, so like, let's get the boot, let's move it on. Anyways, Nick and Sierra decided to have another round 3, you know, time. Wow, 16 to 18 people are in that villa, which is crazy, but they celebrating them being closed off, like, okay, whatever. Woke up, they making breakfast. You know, TJ and Iris decided to sleep out or have a little camp situation, you know. So I'm just like, we letting TJ and Iris like rise up because we're losing the plot. How is TJ and Iris seem to be a little stable of a couple? Came back from Casa More to agree to be together, even though they were never in a couple to begin with. They, you know, they seem solid. They're not even looking at any other person in this villa. Like, this is crazy work. Like, 2 solid people right now. It's just crazy. Like, bring back my people. You know, Ace, he makes breakfast. He's still making breakfast for Shelly because that's his girl. Brought an even bigger flower for her, like, you know, nice and sweet. Even in this episode, they were showing them playing ping pong, so they still on cordial terms. Like, it's not the end of the world for them, but they do need to have that chat about what's going on because they're not really seeing eye to eye. And Amaya, they have a chat about what happened, like, you know, him not really pulling her for chats, and, you know, she always having to be the one to do so. They were in a couple, I feel like I'm just a single, you know? He was just like, okay, they hugged it out. So they get a text that they're gonna be messy, write things on a board. You can keep it anonymous, you can keep it not anonymous. Considering the fact that a lot of these people haven't talked to each other, avoiding each other or whatever, this was like the perfect challenge for them to like stand on business and say what they have to say. Seems like Ed and Eddie are supporting Ed because he got Taylor and Nick both saying like, you know, Shelly and Ace need to chat, Shelly and Ace need to be closed off, like that's what they're gonna write. Earlier before this episode, you know, Huda decides to tell Leandra and Amaya about her Chris. So it's like, okay, hold on to this information because it comes up later in the episode. So Austin in this challenge, he goes first, and his, you know, message was like, you know, why are you still here? Because, you know, you don't really put in effort with any of the girls that you're coupled up with. Like, you didn't do that with Shelly, you didn't do that with Amaya. Like, how are you still in this villa? So he defends himself, like saying like, oh, him and the people that he was coupled up with had good chats, da da da. And Drina was the one who sent that, because I'm like, she basically probably watched the episode. She probably watched the episodes that we were watching when, you know, we see Ace doing all these little spontaneous things, and then you got Austin over here whining about being in a triangle. So she wrote him that, and basically tried to defend him. She wrote him that, and he basically trying to defend himself about the whole situation. After that was Amaya, you know, they made her cry. They were like, oh, they heard her snoring, which is from Chris, which was like, you know, lighthearted Kiki. But then the second one was from Austin about like her and being too affectionate and whatnot. Ace, he piped in and he basically said like, you know what, the babe and things like that, you know, is kind of like a little too much, makes people uncomfortable, da da da. But Brian, he came to her rescue, was like, you know, being Hispanic, you know, these are just, you know, words of endearment. They're nothing like, you know, to taken too seriously. That's how they are, you know, basically brought up. Like, you know, so just meet her in the middle with that situation.
The thing I gotta add though, coming from a Hispanic household, calling someone babe, mi amor, mi vida, that's just how we talk. You're telling her, meet you halfway, you gotta meet her halfway too.
I did that.
Then Zach, out of nowhere, even though nobody was talking to him, was like, oh, this is why I had to take a step back from her. So then Amaya was like, you know what, don't even talk to me, because like we just had a chat. You know, you could have said what you said in the chat. And even back at Casa Amor, he even said he was okay with the pet names. He was okay with the situations like that. So I don't understand why you piping up now, Zach. So Ace, he was trying to control it because he didn't really mean for Amaya to cry. He was trying to comfort her. You know, Sierra was the one who told him, like, you know, no, Sierra was the one to tell him, like, you know what, we got it, Ace, you know, just sit back down, da da da. Sierra stood up. It was basically about her and Nick having the time of their life in the, you know, the bedrooms. You know, she was just like, oh, we're celebrating. And then Pepe, he addressed the trio, Shelly, you know, Sierra and Alandra, about them voting off Hannah. And, you know, her excuse about voting off Hannah was kind of like ridiculous because she had a strong connection. But I'm just like, you could have easily voted off Iris. No shade, no tea. Now Iris over here, you know, laying cool with TJ with no problem, okay? But at the end of the day, you know, she was like, oh, Hannah had 2 chances to form good connections, and she did. So that was it. They basically, you know, gave him that explanation, and they moved on. Pepe was next, basically about his situation with Grayson, like, oh, you liked Hannah more than you like Grayson. And it was just like, you know what? Grayson's feeling some type of way, like, you know, I just got here and people still saying, like, you still feel a way about Grayson. You still feel a way about Hannah. But it's just like, at the end of the day, he don't even feel a spark with Grayson. So I'm just like, that's not looking too hot. So where do we even go from here? Up was Ace. Ace gets a message from Austin about him being the ringleader, him sending home Jeremiah. Everybody listen to what you have to say. You know, Jeremiah was, you know, wrong if he did and wrong if he didn't, da da da. So Ace and Amaya ate him up bad.
Just because I have the balls to say that shit doesn't mean, oh, Ace is a hater. One of us out of the 2 is 6'5" and one of us is 5'10" and has the balls to say some shit around here.
A lot of colors that I did not see that you had before that are showing tonight. And you know what? I'm glad that we have this challenge because all of this shit that's being said, you never once said it to my face, and you were very much confused whenever I came up to you. So continue on.
I was confused because this reaction, I didn't want to deal with this reaction.
What the fuck are you talking about? You're the one with the neck veins popping out of your neck right now.
Ace aired him out about, you know, you telling us one thing about Amaya, but then you telling her another thing. All the things he said about Amaya was so negative. Like him basically whining about, even to Jeremiah, about how, oh, she was just too much. Like, it's just not normal, da 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 da. Like, he got lucky with that Casa Amor because he would have been stringing Amaya along or playing her face. But Amaya knew you know, something was off about him. So they tag teamed him, ate him up. Like, yup, give him his 5s for that, because he really, like, defended Amaya with that situation. And then he tried to play in Amaya's face, like, oh, do you understand what standing on business is? This is a time for air things out.
It's to air stuff out, Amaya.
All right.
Do you not understand what a chance to air stuff out is? Because I was airing stuff out.
You don't need to interpret that for me. I understand that.
Okay.
But what I'm saying is that,
like you do.
No, I understand that. Don't be disrespectful to me like that. Because right now, there's...
But it's just like, all right, whatever. Like, you didn't have to do that at all. So then after Ace was Shelly, and she got basically messages from Ace directly. He was like, you know, how can we have boundaries if you still want to explore other dudes? Like, well, what's tea about that? So she was like, well, because you said we still open, so I'm still open. So when you say we open, you explore, then when I do it, it's a problem, da da da. But it's just like, if they want to be closed off, let's let be closed off. So then Sierra had to basically break it down, basically say like, you know, if she wants to protect what they got building on, da da da, you know, and then you go on a challenge and do stuff like that, where you basically are very intentional of who you kiss or who you know, do stuff with, you know. But I'm just like, it goes both ways, because it's like, if he's intentional of what he does stuff with in a challenge, then she was intentional of going double back with Chris. Like, I call a spade a spade. If he was intentional of how he treated that challenge, she was intentional of doubling back with Chris. Like, let's keep it a stack. Let's keep it real. Michelle was wrong. My client Michelle was wrong. Okay, you know. Then Huda, she wanted to be anonymous, talking about, you know, the boundary situation. But the thing about with the Huda and Shelly situation, which is different from Ace and Shelly, is that there was a girl code, there was a situation that was set by Huda in the beginning, and that they respected Huda for. So when it was Shelly's turn, Huda was supposed to repay that favor, repay the situation that they gave them. But she didn't do so. There was no girl code. I gave you grace so many times. Like where do we go from here? So Huda was like, oh, I'm sorry. I hope you forgive me. Da 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 da. Shelly was like, yeah, okay, I'm done. Next was Huda. Huda was getting the messages. First one was like, you should have been gone by now, by Nicholas. Mind you, Nicholas and Huda had a chat earlier, and, you know, that's supposed to be her bestie. But this man voted her off twice. He's not her friend. He is so shady, but he's still on business. He put his name, he put his full name, he put Nicholas. He's like, why are you still here? Like, I want you gone. Like, this is crazy. They were like, you know, she did explore, she did learn, you know, in Casa, she did learn from her mistakes earlier, da da da. But it was like, you know, Nick was like, why are you still here? The next question was like the girl code from Shelly. And, you know, she was trying to say how, like, you always say, oh, it's just a challenge. But Shelly was referring to when Amaya and Hannah first got here, the baseball challenge, how she was overly upset in the challenge. And, like, Amaya and the other girl didn't know you. Didn't know Huda at all. Hannah did not know you. So it's like, why you tweaking out? So that, like, rightfully so. And that's the only time Shelly said. So Shelly was like, yeah, I told you that to your face about the situation. Then Alandria now, one thing Alandria's gonna do, she gonna spill the tea, because when I told you Huda told her about the kiss with Chris, she was like, do you want to share with the class that you and Chris had a kiss in the speakeasy?
It's fine, but this is how I felt. Only I know how I feel.
If you wanted her to continue to explore this connection and you value this sisterhood, I get that you don't kiss and tell, but do you mind telling the class?
What do you mean? Tell the class what?
That they kissed in the speakeasy.
So Chris was like, hold up, that's nobody's business. Like, you don't need to be airing that. But nobody knew, but, you know, she like spilled the beans, which is like, okay. And like, but Shelly was like, she don't care. Seemingly, Shelly's off of Chris. Chris is focusing on Huda. Like, at the end of the day gotta end, because it just looks awkward to be arguing about this whole situation. And then Ace is right there like, oh, what's tea? So they're just kind of like, you know, the girl code situation. So Huda was just like, oh, she's over it, she's done with the challenge. Chris over here, he got messages from Sierra basically like, you know, what's your intentions with Huda? Like, you know, the switch up is crazy. If you wanted to be in the village, just say that. From Shelly, like, the switch up is crazy. So he's just like, well, I'm gonna be focusing on Huda. Like, Shelly and Chris didn't have a chat. From Brian, like, what's going on with this avoidant behavior. And Shelly was just like, well, you told me one thing, da 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 da, and then now you're doing, like, you're not really trying to pull me. And from Ace's perspective, what he said a couple of days ago, he was like, is Chris about to go to war for you? And he really was not, because if this man hasn't put in the effort that Ace has been putting in, then at the end of the day, he's not the man for you, because he is not doing the same things that, you know, Ace is doing. Then at the end of the day gotta end, and just focus on the couples that you're already in, okay? Just focus on the couples that you're already in. So after that, it was Alandria's turn, and Alandria got hers from Clarke, which was like, you know, you said I'm a test, but I'm really not. And Clarke signed her name, and she was like, you know what, it was just very much general term. It was nothing against you. It's just like bombshells are basically a test. Castle More People are basically a test to the original relationship. When it came to Taylor's turn, Alandria, she was heated. Word. She was heated, okay?
I ever question my worth? What do you need from me? What do you need from this fucking connection? You couldn't say shit. Girl, get in here and give you fucking 3 days of attention and you fucking go?
She got it off her chest. She was holding it in for weeks. She was like, you were coupled up with me for almost 4 weeks. But when as soon as, you know, Clarke gave you 3 days, and the fact that you didn't even know that we were gonna be saved, you really want to be dumped me from the island. Like, you didn't even know I was gonna be saved. So he really wanted to, like, she got it off her chest. And he was like, you know what, you want me to step up for you in here, but at the end of the day, this is my individual experience. So it is what it is.
So I feel like where you come from, you want me to think for you and move for you. This experience is for everybody individually. So the time I move for me, it's a damn problem for you.
But this man really did not try with Alandria. If Ace didn't have to input it, if Alandria didn't have to, you know, start these things on her own and like have these dates between them, it was never going to happen on his end. So it's just like, at the end of the day, what I say, the day got to end, because he's been showing you more than he's been telling you that he really not that into you. So I'm just like, he's been showing you that, but now he really stood on business and told you tonight he want Clarke over you. So I mean, I'm glad that he kind of stood on business and told you that, Alandria, because at the end of the day, you really needed to hear that. After he picked you over Clarke at the cast of recoupling, you should have deaded that and ended that straight up. The fact that you're even entertaining him wanting to explore both Clarke and you is crazy. And basically saying like, oh, is he really putting an effort to try to get to know? Like, girl, you should just hang it up flat screen. He don't want you. He want Clarke. He's very touchy and feel with Clarke. He not with you. Like, his actions are showing it better than his words. And today he was really standing on big business. It was kind of like, whoa.
Wait, the way you was thinking was you want me to move for you.
Ooh. He stood on business. Damn.
You feel me?
Like, whoa. They were messy to have a vote after all of this, which is crazy. It was crazy to do that to my people, but I still locked in and voted for my people, okay? That's one thing I'm gonna do, still lock in and vote for my people. Polling earlier in the day, and you know, that's probably gonna be in Thursday's episode. This replacing movie night, I mean, it's very messy. I don't know if it's gonna replace movie night altogether, but it's too much drama and mess happening. So to even put movie night on top of this would just be messed up, considering that we're in the last 2 weeks of the show. But this was episode 26, very messy. Taylor stood on business. Shelly and Chris are basically over. I don't think it was even on, to be honest. I think she was just entertaining to entertaining's sake. I feel like she's gonna have to do her big one to show Ace like she really want to keep her connection. But not a good episode for my people, not a good episode for a lot of people. I think only Amaya was really the only person who came out of unscathed from this episode. So yeah. Anyway, guys, if you guys like the video, comment down below. Let me know your thoughts, comments, concerns. You guys subscribe to my channel, subscribe. And thank you guys for watching this video. Peace.